Hello, welcome back everybody to Thor WCast. Nice to see you all again. We're just jumping right into a game, and it looks like there's a first blood that just happened at mid lane. Sorry we're jumping in about a minute late into this game, but sometimes the spectator takes a little bit to load up, and this was one of those times, so it is what it is. That being said, let me say I am so glad for the tools we have today to watch live games, replays, all that good stuff. I can tell you from experience. In fact, even Dota 2 is currently, in current day, having a bit of a situation going on where they have changed the rules and made it so that people can hide their accounts and make their public games stop being displayed, which a lot of pros are doing, because it makes it a lot more difficult for teams to have an idea of what heroes they've been practicing in ranked. And that makes it a little easier to hide like pocket picks or big strategies they've been going on. Even going so far as one pro player said that when another team asked if they could have some replays of his just to study some stuff, even though they were a lower tier team, like a tier 3 team compared to a tier 1, right? He said, yeah, I'll give you it for $2,000. Just, that's where we're at right now in Dota. So, just to point out that Shiv is dead, it's really nice to have these tools and be able to actually like follow along, just click on a player's name and be like, I want to see that player play a game, that kind of stuff. I do hope that Deadlock keeps that up and it doesn't go the route that Dota has recently, or that older games had, like StarCraft back in the day. It's just nice to be able to get into these, you know what I mean? Alright, now enough waxing poetic. Let's take a peek at the lanes, and I'll give you my personal opinion. We are still on a new patch, so stuff is a little bit... we're still adjusting a little bit, you know? It's a little different from what we might have thought it was prior to that, and some changes in builds and hero priority, that kind of stuff is starting to rear its head. Because it is now, a day into the patch and everything. So, starting with our left lane, we have a Shiv and an Eternus taking on a Holiday and a Lash. Holiday and Lash have already gotten a double kill. I would have said that I think that their lane has the advantage in the first place throughout the entire duration of the lane, because there is a ton of burst damage. Holiday's barrels do ridiculous burst damage for having charges and relatively low cooldowns. Lash, of course, has the flog and the ground strike to help pump out damage, and both of them, once they reach their ultimates, which they have displacement that they can target enemies with to throw them out of position and into a dangerous spot. So this lane is just straight up nasty, and Shiv and Furnace don't have too much to combat back against it, other than trying to survive and Infernus's ultimate once he gets it. That's why we are already seeing a difficult situation for them. In fact, Shiv is getting jumped on one more time. Bing, bang, boom. He is gonna die. He walked up in lane. That was a mistake. Infernus going in on the Lash. Lash is hurting right now, but there's the Spirit Lasso out from the Holiday, and the counter will wind up actually happening. Lash will go down, but it is at the cost of the Infernus, so the big winner of that engagement, Holiday, survives for both kills, gets credit for both kills. She's feeling real happy about that. Now then, moving on to the mid lane, we have a Paradox and a Wraith taking on a Dynamo and a Haze. Both of these lanes are kind of weak. Paradox Wraith is probably the stronger lane. They have actual burst damage they can put out. Dynamo has a little bit, I suppose, but not a great deal. And Haze is basically just a walking gun. She doesn't do much other than shoot people. And in the early game, shooting people isn't really the best way to output damage. Spells are generally better, while shooting people scales better with items. So for the early game lanes, you really want to count on the people that have spells that can do some burst damage to win the lane, and that is the Paradox Wraith lane by comparison. And once more, we see the Infernus going down on the opposite end. Holiday and Lash are chasing this Shiv, and I think he'll go down. Wait, Lash misses? There's the flog. I tried to hype it up. I knew he was going to die. I've played enough Lash to know that was a dead Shiv, but still. Anywho, our final lane, which hasn't seemed to have gotten much in the way of kills or deaths, is a Viper, Moe, and Krill facing off against an Abrams and a Lady Geist. And the weakest laner in this lane is by far Abrams. Abrams is not a strong laner in the first place. If you think Abrams is a strong laner, I don't know what to tell you. You're just plain wrong there. But the biggest thing about the reason why this works is Viper. Viper punishes people in the early game. Look at that, 209 burst damage. Lethal Venom did 403 damage at the end. That spell is the bane of an Abrams existence. In fact, it's just incredibly strong early game. It's essentially an execute. In fact, Lady Geist is going to be very close to dead after that. Not quite dying, but still taking a lot of damage. Anyway, as I was saying, the Lethal Venom really gives the opportunity for the Viper to just chew through Abrams and punish people that are lower on health. But with the rotation of the Holiday, that does get the counter kills onto their opponents. And we see a slight lead for the Sapphire team right now, as the Holiday's rotations have borne some fruit. And we'll see if they're able to carry that much further. Speaking of mid to late game potential, which I haven't done too much in these casts, and I should really do so, I think that the Sapphire team has a lot more potential for mid-game plays, but the late-game scaling goes to the Amber team, in my opinion. The Amber team has heroes that I think scale just better into the late game. These gun-style carries of Wraith and Viper, and even Eternus, if he chooses to build that way. He could build pure damage hybrid, glass cannon, he could build tanky if he felt like it. He's got a lot of build variety that works pretty well, because he has a ton of natural damage that he can do, and damage over time. But I do believe mid-game rotations and active abilities go in the favor of the Sapphire team. They have the Holiday Lasso, they've got Lash's Death Slam, they have the Dynamo Singularity, the Black Hole, all these incredible control ultimates that can really help get kills on one or more enemies without too much effort. And we even see the Holiday on a 6-kill streak already, absolutely demolishing the Amber team everywhere she goes, really snowballing this advantage that she got from the laning phase. Look at that, Shiv running for his life because his Holiday is 3k net worth ahead of him. Nearly 150% of his net worth. And Shiv is currently sitting on 2.8k that he hasn't spent, while Holiday is only at 657 she hasn't spent. She has so much more active net worth in her inventory, and look at that, another kill onto the Shiv. Holiday absolutely causing the snowball to grow larger and larger for herself. Now, as you can see, there is only a 1k net worth lead in favor of the Sapphire team despite this. The Amber team is keeping up pretty decently. If we look at the kills, it's 13-9, so it's not too bad. It's mostly just the following. 1, Holiday is snowballing, and Holiday snowballing can be very, very scary into the mid-game. Holiday does tons of burst damage, has the ability to lasso an enemy and drag them back to her team, kidnapping them to death, and almost guaranteeing a kill. And even with the help of Lash and Dynamo as well, it makes it extremely scary to even want to try to help that hero that she can grab. The only good thing to help would be a rescue beam, and I don't know if anyone is going to build a rescue beam on the Amber Hands team, because the best candidate would probably be either Moe and Krill or this Paradox. And I'll be honest, even Eternus players are pretty married to build orders and don't do a lot of thinking when it comes to building their items. They do more than the lower ranks, but they don't do a lot of thinking in that regard of, wait a second, they have a Holiday that's snowballing and is probably going to be actively looking to lasso people and stuff. They got a Lash as well. They've got a Dynamo to hold them in place. Maybe if we get one rescue beam on the team, we can save lives that otherwise would have died. And we could toss it on someone that doesn't necessarily need to be in the fray, like this Paradox. who can either swap enemies in or act as a bit of a utility/support character and still do perfectly fine in the game. Or even the Eternus could do it if he felt like it. Because the Amber team has plenty of carry potential with Viper and Wraith. That's already a lot. And down goes the Eternus. Exactly what I said. Spirit Lasso pulls him in. There's a teammate to help. Easy kill. Anyway, that all to say that I believe this holiday is going to get a ton of work done as we enter into the mid-game. And the Amber Hand's ability to stop that is mostly coming from... Oh my god. Oh, what a good kill. Mostly coming from if Mo and Krill and or Paradox can latch on to this holiday, pull her out of position, hold her down, and allow the teammates to kill them. But that's not happening. All that's happening right now is people are walking in one at a time into this duo of Lash and Holiday and just getting displaced by ultimates and murdered. And hey, did Hayes press R or her ultimate? She did, and thus Wraith's health bar disappeared within 2 seconds. What a hero. At least there is a return kill by the Paradox there. Paradox has fortitude and enduring speed right now, meaning she wants to be on the map and moving around a lot, trying to be active. Very similar to what Holiday can do. Paradox can do similar things. The difference is that this Paradox is 5k net worth behind this Holiday, who has jumped down into the area to buy stuff, but it looks like she's gonna just run away. Alchemical Fire. Alchemical Flask is Warden's ability. But the Alch Fire has been picked up by the Paradox. She dumped it on the floor, and the Holiday no longer wanted to stand on the floor there because that is ouchies. Looks like Lash just getting chased around a little bit, but he'll be perfectly fine. So we've got a 5k net worth lead in favor of the Sapphire team. Let's take a peek at some of the strugglers. We've been talking about the people that are doing really well, like this Holiday, who looks like she's going to grab Shiv with another lasso. That's a lot of damage just from her gun, which she has not really invested much in. Just that crack shot, headshot damage really building up. Shiv going low. Pretty much dead, I think. Good shotgun blast to give him a little mobility, but it's not enough. Too many heroes in the area, too much chase down in the area, but hey, it looks like Paradox and Wraith got a counter kill on the opposite side of the map onto this Lady Geist that was pushing up a little too far by herself. And it didn't even cost a paradoxical swap, it only cost the Wraith's telekinesis, so nice of them to be able to still hold that tool in the box, just in case another hero shows up soon. And wouldn't you know it, there's another hero here with the Abrams, but they suspected there would be more, and they were correct to leave. Lash was coming in, Death Slam ready to go just as he was about to arrive. So, good on them getting out. Now, as I was saying, let's take a look at the strugglers. Shiv is a hero that really doesn't like playing from behind. Oh! Well, this is different from what we've been seeing Shiv builds. He's gone for a dagger build to do damage over time bleed. So the way this works is every time you hit a dagger, it does some upfront damage, that 104, then damage per second. He's also building into Mystic Vulnerability, which is probably going to upgrade at some point into Escalating Exposure. And he's even picked up this Mystic Shot for extra spirit scaling onto his gun and stuff. This is all about lots of damage over time with a little upfront from the Mystic Shot. And with the new way that Shiv's Rage mechanic works, not building up on anything other than heroes, this should help him be able to build it up relatively safely. Shiv is a little bit on the weaker side when he doesn't have his Rage built up going into fights. And speaking of fights, we have a little bit of a team fight popping up over here, but it doesn't look like it's actually going to wind up with anything. They are able to disengage behind the Paradox wall, but the Eternus stayed on the left lane after taking that Walker and got himself killed. Pushed up too far. Another Haze ultimate succeeds in acquiring a kill. Wait, Holiday, somebody is very close to her. Will she be caught by the Paradox and the Mo? Nope. Just hops her happy little self away. They are running the urn on the Sapphire team. It wasn't even urn. Lasso latches onto the Shiv, pulling him deep into enemy territory. He's going to have to really escape? No, he's gone. So one of the problems with this build that Shiv is doing is that he's pretty squishy. He doesn't really have any extra health to speak of. He doesn't have much in the way of resistances or anything, just kind of relying on bloodletting, which has been nerfed on this patch. It has been nerfed. But yeah, that combo was never going to kill anyone. You have no teammates, man. Silly. Silly, you're just getting baited. Somebody's going to show up soon to help this holiday. Here come 3 heroes behind her. Okay, Mo and Crow left. Anyway, so because bloodletting has been nerfed and Shiv is no longer able to defer as much damage for as long as he used to, both the amount of damage deferred and the time it takes for the deferred damage to start hitting him have been nerfed. It makes it so Shiv is not naturally nearly as tanky as he used to be. He can still tank very, very well, but you got to build the tank items a little more than you used to, as in, at all. And the fact that he doesn't have any tank items, the only green item he has is this Enchanter's Emblem, and it's just for cooldown reduction, mostly. It gives a little bit of spirit resist, but otherwise it's not giving him too much in the way of actual survivability. Because he's built this way, he is kind of squishy. So getting grabbed by a holiday is not good for him. I want to point something out about Viper, who is definitely a very hard carry, a very, very strong mid to late game carry, and can be escaped nerfs on the last patch, and I think Viper was already starting to creep up in usability. At the highest ranks, Viper was starting to really become a little bit of a menace, and after escaping nerfs like this, I can only assume Viper is going to become even more of a menace as another kill goes the way of Holiday. Anyway, one thing Viper really, really hates playing against, Viper loves to slither and slide across the floor so that Viper has infinite bullets, has extra move speed to chase with, that kind of stuff. That's how Viper plays. The thing Viper hates playing against more than anything else are disables, and most of all, anything that knocks you up into the air, pops you into the air so your slide stops and you start actually spending bullets when you attack. They have Holiday Barrels, Lash Ground Slam, Dynamo Kinetic Pulse, and Abrams Charge if it lashes, and Abrams Seismic Impact. They have so much to stop this Viper from being able to slither around as mid-boss gets taken, and a little bit of a fight coming over here. They do grab this Lady Geist. They are going to dodge the ultimate from the Wraith, chasing onto this hero into the open area. Not quite gonna get a finish, though. Back down here, a combo going on to the hero over here, the Lash. Jumping around, doing his best, gets a really good flog to heal himself back up, and it looks like he's actually gonna keep himself alive for now. Surprisingly enough, still running away. Finally, I think he's about to die. Another flog comes out. How is this man alive? He has lived through so much. He doesn't die. He just didn't die, jumping along the edges, constantly hitting flogs. That was incredibly impressive. I can't believe he survived that. Look at his build. His build isn't tanky at all. He has Trophy Collector. That's his health, basically. His extra health. How many stacks does he have? 12 now, after that ruckus. But he will eventually get executed by Shiv. Shiv shows up and just puts him in the grave. Wow, I can't believe he survived all that. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right, Viper. So Viper can definitely be incredibly hard carry, but anytime Viper gets popped up into the air, Viper is no longer slithering on the ground, and anytime you're sliding on the ground, you have infinite ammo while you shoot while sliding. It's one of the skill factors of the game. Every single hero gets it, but Viper is unique in being able to slide extra super far, extra super long, and gets a bunch of free stamina to be able to start slides over and over again. And that allows Viper to, chase people down, stay strong, and keep shooting. Anytime a knock-up hits, Barrel, Ground Strike, Kinetic Pulse, any of those, it takes this tool away from Viper, and that's Viper's biggest weakness, is having that tool taken away from her. So Viper is countered pretty hard by the team composition. Unlucky in the matchmaking. Remember, you don't get to draft teams or heroes or anything in the game still. It's just RNG, what heroes your team gets versus what heroes the enemy team gets. So you can just influence it a tiny bit for your own pick. Uh-oh, Wraith. Getting chased. Holiday did land a lasso, I believe. Telekinesis followed by the Project Mind does get Wraith out of the bad position, and the Lady Geist gets knocked off of the zipline. She will die. Absolutely 100% will die. 100%. There she goes. No ultimate to keep herself alive. She lived longer than I thought she would. Wait a second. What are you doing back? She must have had a, she must have gotten a mid-boss gem. That's why she respawned. I wasn't paying attention to the symbol below her. Dynamo has one right now, for example. I was confused for a second, then I remembered they did mid-boss. Alright, so Lash ultimate latches onto 2, tosses them away, and Lash uses it to just hop up over here. Little bit of help coming his way in the form of Dynamo, but there are 4 Amber heroes in the area. Dynamo, I don't think you want to be here, man. Combo comes from Mo and Krill. Dynamo just barely gets the Quantum Entanglement off, but it is not enough to keep himself alive. That only eats up his mid-boss buff. Will he be able to escape? No. Doesn't look like it. Another Quantum Entanglement into an ultimate. Why? For what reason, my man? That's a long cooldown. You can't do that. You gotta just eat that death, dude. You aren't gonna live. What the hell do you think's gonna happen? The other heroes in your team are gonna teleport to you? They're not all Mirage. If you're a Dynamo player, please don't do that. Please do not panic ultimate. If you're gonna die by yourself, if you look at the mini-map and you see no heroes on your team heading your way, and you're surrounded, eat the death, man. Just let it happen. It's gonna happen. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You're gonna die sometimes. Oh man, big team fight over the urn coming out. The ultimate from the Eternus winds up doing very, very little. And instead, it's looking like the Sapphire team is just going to crush this fight. They got the urn, they got 3 kills, and they're about to get a 4th onto this Shiv. Just too much power coming out from the Sapphire team right now. Now imagine that they also had a Dynamo ultimate in their arsenal right now. I mean, you know, when 5 enemy heroes are dead, there's not much to be scared of. But, you know, having that tool is really helpful. There's no reason to not have the Singularity available right now. Chase down onto this Wraith and... or onto the Haze, and the dagger will allow her to escape. Ooh. Uh-oh. 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 Lash coming in. Uh-oh. That is way too much for the Wraith to escape. The Sapphire team is just brutal in its advance right now, constantly diving in, showing no fear, moving as a unit, always 2 or more heroes together, for the most part at least, and that is allowing them to, over and over again, take advantageous fights for themselves. Shiv dives in by himself, no assistance, maybe some frustration on his part. He is very dead. He is not playing a build that wants to dive in by itself either, for the most part. He's got this dagger build. That's like, sit at range and build up your daggers. A lot of misplays coming out here. I mean, everyone's human. Even Eternus players aren't necessarily perfect. And especially in, like, ranked games, they're a lot more likely to troll here and there, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there are some things, I'm going to harp on the Dynamo thing for as long as I need to, but some things that you just hope to not see. Ooh, Dynamo ultimate instantly canceled by the telekinesis of the Wraith, but I just don't know if they have enough in the tank to stop this advance. There is an ultimate onto this Haze by the Eternus, but the Haze not dying whatsoever, and the Patron getting taken down, despite their best efforts on the Amber Hand. It was kind of a snowbally stomp in the favor of the Sapphire team there. Definitely some choices that were made in the Amber Hands team. I want to say that the real problem for them came from the laning phase going extremely poorly and just not getting started in any way. The Sapphire Flame had such an advantage after the laning phase, on specific heroes especially, the Holiday and the Lash, who played extremely well together and continued to move around the map as partners and using everything in their arsenal to just kind of crush the heroes that they were against, was something that the Amber Hand did not really set up for and try to counter. They kept playing relatively static for a little bit too long, it felt like, while the Sapphire Flame were moving around a lot, which I know can be very difficult to break out of because it's harder to try and force yourself to make plays when you feel like you're behind, but that's exactly the time when you have to make those plays. You're not going to get back ahead just by sitting around farming. You got to make use of the tools you have, the Mow and Krill combo, the Paradox swap, any sort of follow-up, whether it be the Shiv, the Infernus, the Wraith, or the Viper. Those two heroes should be moving around with at least one other hero and constantly looking for stuff anytime their ultimate was up. And instead, they were not really getting that accomplished. The Paradox got a fair bit accomplished, but not as much as we would have liked to see in terms of team play. But ranked games be like that sometimes. Even in high-ranked games, sometimes the communication and the teamwork just falls a little short of what you would hope to see. Either way, very well played by the Sapphire team, absolutely just trouncing their opponents. They grabbed the initiative from the laning phase and never really stopped strangling the Amber Hand until they were finally put out of their misery. So well done by them. Super well played. I hope you all enjoyed another Thor W cast. If you did, as always, throw me a sub, a like, a comment. Those things all go a long way to helping YouTube point more people toward the channel, and helping the channel grow would be lovely. I would really appreciate it. For the time being, though, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and thank you for watching another Thor W cast.